I thought Jake was my forever. Turns out he was just another coward with a fragile ego. He humiliated me in front of all our friends, breaking up with me like I was nothing right after I spent months supporting him through his failures. I was devastated, but not for long. Because when he came crawling back, begging for another chance, I made sure he knew exactly what it felt like to be tossed aside. And trust me, it was brutal. There is a specific kind of humiliation that burns into your memory, like a scar you can't forget no matter how much time passes. Mine happened on a Saturday night at our favorite bar, surrounded by the people who were supposed to be my friends. It started normally enough. Jake and I had been together for almost 2 years. We weren't perfect, who is, but we were solid. Or at least, I thought we were. Sure, had been acting weird lately, pulling away, giving me half-hearted excuses about work stress and needing space, but I figured we were just in a rough patch. Relationships ebb and flow, right? So when he suggested a night out with our friends, I jumped at it. A casual, fun evening to remind us why we worked so well together. I got dressed up, put on that little black dress he once said made me look dangerous in the best way, and told myself this would be a turning point. And it was, just not in the way I expected. The night started off fine. Drinks, laughter, inside jokes. I caught a few side glances between Jake and his best friend Lucas, but I chalked it up to nothing. I should have known better. Because then, in the middle of the conversation, right after I finished telling a story about how we'd nearly missed our flight back from Miami last year, Jake sighed, set down his beer, and turned to me with a look I couldn't quite place. Look, I think we should break up. At first, I thought I misheard him. The noise in the bar, the music, the chatter, I figured maybe I'd imagined it. But then I saw the way the table went quiet. How every single pair of eyes locked onto me like they were waiting for my reaction. My stomach dropped. What? I don't think this is working anymore, Jake said, loud enough that even the people at the next table turned their heads. I've been feeling like this for a while, and honestly, I didn't want to keep leading you on. I blinked. My face was burning, but the rest of me felt ice cold. Are you seriously doing this right now? I expected shock from our friends, some kind of reaction. But what I got instead was awkward silence, and then a few murmured, "Oh, damn and yikes." That's when I knew. They knew. They all knew. Jake wasn't just dumping me, had planned this, had prepped them for it, probably told them not to make a big deal out of it, maybe even made jokes about it beforehand. My humiliation was just another Saturday night anecdote for them. I felt like throwing up. Are you kidding me? My voice cracked, but I didn't care. You're breaking up with me in the middle of a bar in front of all of our friends? Jake had the audacity to look annoyed. I figured it was better to just get it over with. I wanted to scream. Instead, I laughed. Because what else was I supposed to do? Cry? Beg? Hell no. Wow, I said, shaking my head. That's honestly pathetic. And then, just to twist the knife deeper, he shrugged. Shrugged. Like I was just some obligation he was finally shaking off. I mean, I guess I should have done it earlier, but yeah. He took a sip of his beer. It's not really a big deal. Not a big deal. I stood up so fast my chair nearly tipped over. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding, but I absolutely refused to let them see me break. Cool, I said, forcing a smile that felt like glass in my throat. You could have at least had the balls to do this in private, but I guess that's too much to expect from someone who never takes responsibility for anything. A flicker of something crossed his face, guilt, maybe, or just irritation that I wasn't reacting the way he wanted. Don't make a scene, he muttered. Oh, you mean like you just did? I shot back. Screw you, Jake. Then I turned and walked out, leaving behind the bar, the whispers, and the guy I thought I knew. But the worst part, I wasn't just heartbroken. I was furious. And I had no idea what to do with that rage. I walked home in a haze, my heels clicking against the pavement, my breath shaky with the effort of keeping my emotions in check. The second I stepped into my apartment, the dam broke. Tears burned down my cheeks as I kicked off my shoes and threw my purse onto the couch. My hands were still trembling from anger, from embarrassment, from the sheer audacity of what just happened. He planned that. I wasn't even his girlfriend anymore before I walked into that bar. In his mind, I had already been erased, discarded like an old shirt that didn't fit his new aesthetic. And the worst part? Everyone else had gone along with it. Not a single person spoke up. Not one of them pulled me aside after, asked if I was okay, texted me a damn question mark to check in. I sat on my couch, my breath coming in short, sharp bursts. The silence in my apartment was deafening. Just hours ago, I had a boyfriend, a solid group of friends, and the belief that we'd work through whatever rough patch we were in. Now I had nothing but the realization that I had been so painfully blind. I grabbed my phone, the screen lighting up with a dozen notifications. None of them were from Jake, of course. But there were texts from two people, my best friends Zoe and Lucas. Zoe texted, "What the actual F? I cannot believe he did that to you. I just saw it on freaking Be Real. That idiot Tyler posted it in the background like it was a damn episode of Real Housewives. Call me now." My stomach churned. Someone had posted it. People who weren't even there were watching my public humiliation like it was entertainment. I swallowed the lump in my throat and opened the next message. Lucas texted. I didn't know he was going to do it like that. I swear. You good? I scoffed. Was I good? Was I good? Oh yeah, Lucas. I was thriving after getting dumped in the middle of a bar like an unwanted side dish. I chucked my phone onto the couch. I didn't have it in me to deal with their pity right now. Not Zoe's righteous fury, not Lucas' half-assed guilt. I needed something to pull me out of this pit, something to numb the ache in my chest. So, I did what any reasonable person would do. I opened Instagram, and that's when the final knife slid between my ribs. Jake was already following a new girl. Not just any girl, Madison Blake. She was the kind of girl who always looked airbrushed, even in candids. The kind who posted aesthetic cafe pics with perfectly manicured nails holding overpriced lattes. The kind of girl who somehow never had a single bad angle in group photos. And Jake? He had liked every single one of her last 10 posts. I stared at the screen, my heartbeat roaring in my ears. My hands went numb, but my body was burning with humiliation, with rage, with the crushing, undeniable certainty that this wasn't just some sudden breakup. This was planned. He had been lining up his next relationship before he even ended ours. I sucked in a sharp breath and clicked on Madison's latest post. It was a mirror selfie, tight dress, soft curls, some lips pursed in that effortless way that made it look like she had just thought of something mildly interesting but devastatingly important. Jake had commented on it. I closed the app so fast my thumb ached. My chest felt like it was going to explode. I had spent months supporting him through his failures, his job hopping, his existential crisis over turning 28, his inability to commit to anything besides Call of Duty tournaments with his friends. And the moment he had someone new lined up, I became disposable. I gripped my phone so tight my knuckles went white. Screw that. Screw him. I wasn't going to be the sad, heartbroken ex-girlfriend who faded into the background while he paraded his new fling around like a damn prize. I wasn't going to sit here and let people whisper about how pathetic I was for getting dumped in 4K Ultra HD on Be Real. I was going to make sure that when Jake realized what he lost, it would be too damn late. Game on. You know that moment in every breakup movie where the protagonist has a dramatic transformation montage? The one where they go from sad, pajama-wearing, ice cream-eating wreck to an absolute powerhouse? Yeah, that was me. Except, in real life, the transformation wasn't a 30-second clip set to an upbeat pop song. It was work. It was waking up every day and forcing myself to not check Jake's Instagram, even when the temptation clawed at me. It was staring in the mirror and convincing myself I was hot, even when I didn't feel it. It was walking into the gym for the first time in months and realizing I had zero upper body strength, that my arms were basically spaghetti noodles and my endurance was non-existent. But you know what I did? I showed up the next day, and the next, and the next. I started actually drinking water instead of chugging iced coffee and pretending it was hydration. I cut my hair, nothing drastic, just enough to feel new. I learned how to do my makeup in a way that actually suited my face instead of whatever TikTok trend was popping that week. And most importantly, I reclaimed my damn life. Jake had taken up so much space in my world that I had stopped noticing how much of myself I had lost. My social calendar used to revolve around his friends, his plans, his comfort zone. But now I was making new plans. I started saying yes to things I normally would have skipped. Brunch invites, last-minute road trips, random Wednesday night happy hours. I reconnected with old friends, the ones I had unintentionally drifted from because, surprise, surprise, Jake never liked them. And through it all, I could feel it happening, the shift. The moment where I wasn't just faking confidence, I had it. The moment where I stopped looking over my shoulder, wondering if Jake was watching. Because I didn't care anymore. At least, I thought I didn't, until I ran into him. It had been about 2 months since the breakup when it happened. I was out with Zoe at a rooftop bar, feeling good. The kind of good that comes from knowing you look amazing red dress, fresh blowout, a confidence in my step that I hadn't felt in years. And then, like the universe had been waiting to test me, I heard his voice. Jake, laughing, with Madison. I turned my head slowly, heart pounding, and there he was right across the bar. One arm draped lazily over the back of Madison's chair, a beer in his other hand, looking exactly the same. Something about that fact hit me harder than I expected. I had changed, I had grown, I had rebuilt myself. And Jake? He was still just Jake. Same messy, unshaven look. Same hoodie and jeans combo he always wore like it was a personality trait. Same cocky smirk like he thought he owned the room. But here's the thing. For the first time, I saw through it. I used to think that smirk was charming. Now, it just looked pathetic. Like a guy who still thought he was the main character in a college frat movie years after graduation. And Madison? She wasn't better than me. She wasn't some glowing goddess sent to replace me. She was just a girl who probably thought she was special, that she'd be the one to fix him, that she'd never be treated the way I was. I almost wanted to warn her. Almost. But then, as if sensing my gaze, Jake looked up, and when his eyes met mine, I saw it, the flicker of recognition, the moment he realized I wasn't the same girl he left behind. And when his gaze dropped just for a split second to take in my dress, my legs, the way I carried myself now, I knew I had the upper hand. Jake had wanted me broken, humiliated, curled up in bed, crying over him while he moved on effortlessly. But I wasn't that girl anymore. I was better. So I did the most powerful thing I could think of. I smiled. Not a fake, forced smile, not a bitter, petty one, a real, effortless, I don't give a damn kind of smile. Then I turned back to Zoe, raised my glass, and laughed at whatever joke she had just made. Because at that moment, I knew something Jake didn't. He might have moved on first, but I was the one who had actually moved on. I should have known that was only the beginning. Jake wasn't the type to handle being irrelevant well. He had always needed to be the center of attention, whether it was in a friend group, in a relationship, or in any random room he walked into. And that night, when I smiled at him like he was nothing more than a blip in my past, something in his ego cracked. Because not even a week later, he texted me. At first, I thought I was hallucinating. I had just finished a late-night workout, feeling sweaty and exhausted in the best way, when my phone buzzed. I glanced down, expecting it to be Zoe sending me another meme about how men were trash. But no, it was Jake. Jake texted, "Hey." I stared at the screen, my mind blank. Just hey? That's it? Then, before I could even process the audacity, another text popped up. Jake texted, "I know it's been a while, but I've been thinking about you. Hope you're doing okay." I actually laughed out loud. In my empty apartment, at 10:47 p.m., still wearing leggings and a hoodie drenched in sweat, I cackled. I could feel it, the pathetic, weak attempt at checking if the door was still open. The casual, nonchalant wording, as if he hadn't publicly humiliated me in a bar and immediately replaced me with another girl. He had seen me. He had clocked that I was doing better without him. And now, like the emotionally stunted man-child he was, he suddenly cared. Pathetic. But because I am nothing if not petty, I decided to have a little fun. Me. Oh hey, didn't see this until now. Been so busy lately. Hope you're doing well too. I could practically hear his teeth grinding through the screen. Jake texted, "Yeah, I figured. You looked good the other night." And there it was. The bait. He wanted me to take it, to fall into the trap of reminiscing, to open the door just wide enough for him to slide back in. I wasn't that stupid. Me. Thanks. Been focusing on myself. Feels good. I could sense his frustration. Jake texted, "That's great. I was actually thinking maybe we should catch up sometime. Just as friends, of course. No pressure. No pressure. No pressure." I rolled my eyes so hard I practically sprained something. 2 months ago, I would have melted at those words. I would have convinced myself that this was proof that he missed me, that he realized what a mistake he made, that we were meant to be. But I wasn't that girl anymore. Me. I don't think that's a good idea. But I appreciate the offer. Hope things are going great with Madison. I hit send and immediately turned off my read receipts. Within 5 minutes, Zoe FaceTimed me, cackling. "Bitch, you did not." "Oh, but I did." I flopped onto my bed, grinning so hard my cheeks ached. Zoe clutched her chest dramatically. "This is the best moment of my life. I am so proud of you. How does it feel to have the power?" And you know what? It felt amazing. Because for the first time since that breakup, I wasn't just pretending to be over Jake. I was over him. And now, I was finally ready for whatever came next. Jake didn't text me again after that. At least not directly, but his presence lingered. In the sudden likes he started dropping on my posts, in the way mutual friends awkwardly mentioned his name in conversations like they were testing to see if I'd react. In the not-so-subtle way Madison stopped following me. I knew what was happening. Jake wasn't used to being ignored. He had probably expected me to take the bait, to play into the what-if scenario he was trying to dangle in front of me, and when I didn't, he started unraveling. Zoe was the one who delivered the most satisfying update. "Girl," she said, sliding into the booth across from me at brunch, her eyes practically glowing with chaotic energy. "You are going to die when you hear this." I smirked, sipping my mimosa. "Lay it on me." She wiggled her brows. "So guess who's already having problems?" I raised an eyebrow. "Jake and Madison?" "Bingo." She leaned forward, voice dripping with satisfaction. Apparently, she caught him texting other girls. I nearly choked on my drink. "Oh, that's rich," I said, wiping my lips. "So what? He cheated?" "Not exactly. More like he was keeping his options open." She did air quotes, rolling her eyes, which, honestly, not surprising. A leopard doesn't change its spots. I shook my head, equal parts amused and unsurprised. Jake had always been like this. Even when we were together, he had this way of keeping himself at arm's length, just enough to make sure he always had backup plans. And now, Madison was dealing with the same cycle. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. Because here's the thing. She knew. She had to. No girl goes into a relationship that fast with a guy who just publicly dumped someone and doesn't think, maybe he's a walking red flag. But she convinced herself that she was the exception. Just like I once did. Zoe grinned. "So what's the move? Are we celebrating your villain origin story? Or are we just gonna sit back and let karma do its thing?" I laughed, shaking my head. I don't even need to do anything. He's self-destructing on his own. And that was the most satisfying part, because for once, I wasn't the one breaking. I wasn't the one picking up the pieces, wondering where things went wrong. Jake was. And I was thriving. But of course, the universe wasn't done with me yet. Because a week later, just when I thought Jake was out of my life for good, I got the one text that would change everything. Jake texted, "Can we talk?" I stared at the text for a full minute, waiting for some kind of emotional reaction. Panic? Nope. Butterflies? Hell no. That weird, pathetic hope that maybe, just maybe, he finally realized what he lost? Not even a little. All I felt was annoyance. Jake texted, "Can we talk?" I sighed, locking my phone and tossing it onto the couch. Now, he wanted to talk? Zoe was gonna lose her damn mind. I wasn't even tempted to respond. Whatever Jake had to say, it wasn't for me. It was for him. His ego, his guilt, his pathetic attempt at rewriting the past. So I didn't reply, at least not right away, because when he double texted the next day, I knew he wasn't gonna just go away. Jake texted, "I just feel like things ended weird between us. I don't want bad blood. Can we at least grab coffee or something? Things ended weird?" Weird? Jake, my guy, you publicly humiliated me in a bar and then jumped into a new relationship like I was last season's clearance item. That's not weird. That's just being an asshole. I took a deep breath, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. I could have ignored him. I probably should have, but no. I wanted to end this my way. Me? Oh, I appreciate the concern, but honestly, I don't have bad blood. I just don't care anymore. I didn't wait for a reply, and you know what? He didn't send one. Because that was it. That was the end. I had won. Not because I got revenge, not because I made him jealous or because karma came knocking, but because, for the first time since we broke up, Jake didn't matter. I didn't need closure. I didn't need to hear his excuses or let him justify his actions. I had already moved on. And when I went to sleep that night, my phone silent, my heart light, I realized something. The best revenge isn't making them regret losing you. It's realizing you never needed them in the first place.